money is a language as well. And unfortunately, most of us, I can say more than 90% of the entire population has never been taught. So it's almost like, how do you speak French if you've never been taught French? You can't. It's the same thing. If you have never been taught how to manage money, there's never been conversations about saving, there's never been conversations about budgeting, etc., you will naturally fall into a trap because you've never been taught. It's not inherent in us.
Hello everybody and welcome to God and Growth. I'm your host, Twitchy Maduma. I am so excited today because we are going to speak all about money versus Nozi. But before we get into that, please do not forget to officially become a part of this family by subscribing, press the notification bell, like, comment, and share, of course, because every single person deserves to have a share of this goodness, right? So Sis Nozi, by the way, guys, I was practicing the surname before we started this, so I have to say it right. I am here chilling with Nozipho Van Harden.
Yes.
Nailed it. Yebo. How are you, madam?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Right. So tell me, what do you do for a living?
I'm actually a software consultant. I work for a software company that's in Bryanston. So that's what I do during the day. And then after work, I put on my personal finance coaching hat. So I also do personal finance coaching in my spare time.
That's actually how I got to know you. I was shocked when you told me, I'm a software dot. Like, wait. How are you there?
Yes, so this is important that you're asking me that, and it's a question that I get asked a lot as well. Like, did you study accounting? Do you work in the personal finance field, like financial field? And I'm like, no. And the reason why it's so significant is that money doesn't need you to be a professional in the field. So handling money and being good with money doesn't mean you should be an accountant. Anybody can be good with money. And so that's exactly why I do what I do, because money is not only designated to professionals like accountants or financial advisors or bankers. Anybody can handle money well.
Talking about handling, what would you define as a healthy financial relationship?
Financial health is the state of your finances. And so the state of your finances can be in good health or in bad health. And how you differentiate the two is that your spending as well as your saving should be in such a way that it is beneficial to you now. So your spending, it covers your needs, your basics, your living, food, transportation basics, and also at the same time have enough room to have savings and investments for the future. So there must be a balance between what you're using your money for now and for the future, preparing for the future, your future needs and your future, basically your future needs. So there should be a proper balance. If it's unhealthy, so if your financial state is unhealthy, there is an imbalance. So it's either you're spending too much for now and under saving for the future. So you are in the red. So you're under saving and you are overspending. So that is unhealthy. There should be a proper balance, a balancing act between the two.
Okay. What activities do you think cause us that we practice to under save and overspend?
One biggest culprit is financial illiteracy, basically. So when we are born, we are taught how to speak by our parents, by the people around us. So we learn how to talk by observation, by listening, and by actively being taught, like this is how you say this word, like, you know, when you're being taught how to read.
Yeah.
Money is a language as well. And unfortunately, most of us, I can say more than 90% of the entire population has never been taught. So it's almost like, how do you speak French if you've never been taught French? You can't.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you have never been taught how to manage money, there's never been conversations about saving, there's never been conversations about budgeting, etc., you will naturally fall into a trap because you've never been taught. It's not inherent in us. So, and I think a lot of people have this thing, they think, you know, if you don't know about money, they feel ashamed. No, you shouldn't be ashamed. It's not inherent. It has to be taught. You have to either be taught or learn it yourself. And so the reason why we overspend, the reason why we undersave is because generally we do not know the language of money. We've never been taught. It's a foreign language, and we are trying to use a language that we don't know. And so we will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do parents start teaching their children, older siblings start teaching the younger ones on how to over save? Let me say, if that's an appropriate word, but basically to save and spend money properly.
So it has to be a combination of two things: example and also teaching. But the thing is that our parents probably were also not taught. So you find yourself as a young adult, perhaps maybe your family doesn't know much about that. So then you need to then find knowledge elsewhere. And with me, I found it through reading. So books, there are lots of books about money, personal finance. These days we've got the internet. YouTube is a good resource. Blogs, websites. They're really good resources available to us today, that if you cannot find the knowledge that you need from your family, your immediate, associates, there are resources that you can use that are available. And you must always use a resource that you are comfortable with. So I know some people don't like reading. Tell them about books, they're like, I'm not ready to go back to school. So to those kinds of people, I'm like, you don't need to read books, but you can listen to a podcast. There are podcasts about money. You can watch a YouTube video, but obviously there you need to exercise caution because some of it is junk. So you need to kind of filter to get people that are giving educational material, not necessarily selling something or trying to get you to join something, but somebody who's just purely educating you. That would be, and also listen to several different people. So I always say to people, don't listen to one person. When it comes to money, personal finance, listen to many people. And in that way you form a better opinion, a better understanding. Some people explain things better than others. So if you only listen to one person, you are shortchanging yourself. So to start saving properly, education. That's the only thing that's going to fix, it's the beginning of fixing our problems.
What's the minimum age of learning about money?
There is no minimum age. Children can start learning. So money should be taught to children the moment they can understand, like communication. So age-appropriate ways of teaching children. So by the age of 7, psychologists say that by the age of 7, a child has already formed their financial blueprint. Meaning, by what they've observed their parents doing or guardians doing or not doing with money, they have already internalized that. And that's how they're going to behave in the future when they have their own money. So by age 7. So can you see that they have been learning from birth how to manage money. So literally, how kids learn is by observation most of the time. So they have to see you as a parent or a guardian, as a family. You need to discuss money, so money can no longer be a taboo. I know in the past when we were growing up, our parents really didn't talk much about money, or if it was, they would be talking negatively about it, like, oh, there's no money, you think money grows on trees, etc. But with kids, so you internalize that, right? And that's why we also say, oh, money doesn't grow on trees. Where did we learn that from? From our parents. So with young kids, observation and speaking openly and freely about money. So money should stop being a taboo in homes. It's not a secret, it's not a disease. We should talk about it openly and freely, and through those conversations, children pick it up here and there. You don't have to sit them down and lecture them. They'll just watch you and listen to what conversations are going on, and they form their own blueprint about money. Yeah.
Do different genders relate differently to money?
I think so, because historically, I mean, just looking at the imbalances of the world, basically, that traditionally it was the man who handled financial matters for the longest time, and so that had the impact that a lot of times women would leave financial issues to the man, and he would take care of everything around money. But that needs to change because women are getting more and more access to jobs, to opportunities. They're earning their own money, so it's important for women to take charge. And this question is very important because according to statistics, we women are still under investing, so we are behind. And this is a disadvantage because generally women live longer. So you are going to need money more than your counterpart, your male counterpart, in terms of, especially in the future. So there are more elderly women than there are elderly men. So it means you need money more. And it's a disadvantage to you not to be investing, not to be knowledgeable about money, because you're going to live this long life, and how are you going to survive? We need money to live, to pay bills, to eat food, to clothe ourselves. And so women really need to catch up. Yeah, they really do.
Okay. What are the common mistakes that you see that people do on their first salary?
Your first salary, I think it's expectations. So nobody, again, a language of money. Money, the way a lot of people view it is how they can spend it. There are very few people who view money as a tool to make more money or as a tool to prepare for the future. So most times when people get their first jobs, the first thing on their minds is, what car am I gonna get? Can I afford? So already they are looking at things that you can spend on. It's in very rare cases would you hear a young person say, yo, I'm getting a first job. What can I do to make sure that I manage my money well? How can I learn how to budget? How can I learn how to prepare for a big purchase like a car or a house? Or how can I start to save for the things that I want to buy? It's never that. It's always, what can I qualify for? What loans can I qualify for? So it's always the thought of spending. That's the biggest mistake. The second biggest mistake is that we think we can start saving later. We always think, I'm still young, I'm in my 20s, this saving stuff, the retirement stuff, it's for old people. This being responsible, it's not for us 20-somethings or early 30-somethings.
Let me just be acquiring for now.
For now, let me enjoy, and later I'm going to wake up, and unfortunately what happens is this. When you start working, most people have got very little responsibilities. Most people, I'm not saying everybody. So most people, when they start working, they don't have kids, probably unmarried. Some people still stay at home. This is such a good position to be in, because you can use that opportunity to literally set yourself up financially. if you do the right things. But what do most of us do in those early times? We overspend, we party, whatever. Not that it's wrong to do those things, but we don't plan. And then what happens? We get married or have children, and then the responsibilities pile up. So when you thought, I'm still young, I'm not going to save now. And at that time, it was easier to save because you didn't have responsibilities, you didn't have a car, you didn't have a house, you didn't have children, you didn't have 4 dogs and a cat, right?
Yeah.
And then life creeps up on you, and now you wake up, you've got 2 kids, you've got a house, you've got a car, and saving becomes hard because you never trained yourself to do it, and now that you've got more responsibilities, it's harder. So I always say to young people, start from your first salary. It doesn't matter, the one excuse that they'll say, but I don't earn much.
Yeah.
I'm earning 7,000. It's an internship. I'm not getting much, so why should I even try to save? And this is the thing. Any habit is formed by repetition. So you will not magically form the habit of saving by earning more money. You can't. The habit of saving, the habit of investing starts with even 10 rand. This is why you should even teach children, if you give them 10 rand, they must learn to save 2 rand of that. It's the habit, it's not about the amount. So I always say to people, save 10%, even if it's 10% of 5,000, it's okay. Because you want to train your brain to save. Because if you fail to save 500, do you think you'll be able to save 5,000? No, because the numbers are bigger.
Yeah.
And it feels like, whoa, I'm taking a lot. But if you start small and build, like, okay, we move from 500, we go to 700, and it becomes part of you. So you start from day one. Yeah.
Okay. So now somebody says, I hear you.
Yeah.
That's it. Ekaya, neglect tax.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm left with nothing. Money to me, I save up. Don't forget that little brother of yours, school fees in India. How does one communicate their financial restrictions without seeming selfish with their money? And it's like you don't care about the family or the relationship.
Yeah. Oh, this one is a big, big one. So here are my views, right? Let me make an example. A friend of mine who also talks about personal finance, he used this example that always stuck with me from that day forward. He says, if you've ever flown before, if you've ever been on an airplane before, the air hostess does the safety demonstration, blah, 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 and she says, if the oxygen runs out in the cabin, so maybe something happens to the plane, there's no oxygen flowing, those masks will drop, the oxygen masks will drop from the ceiling, and you have to put them on. And the instruction is, you have to put on your mask first. Even if you're sitting next to your child, you don't put on the child's mask before you put yours on. That principle, it stuck with me. So he was saying that when it comes to money, you come first. It's not selfish because just like with the airplane example, if you don't put on your mask, then you're walking around helping everybody else, and everybody else does the same. We're going to have a lot of dead people helping nobody. Right? So we have people without masks on, they're busy trying to save others, they're trying to help abanye abantu. And then, at the end of the day, they collapse. And then there's nobody to help anybody at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's the same principle. It doesn't mean that for you to help somebody else, it doesn't mean that you must neglect yourself. Yeah. That's not how it works. And also, we must have honest conversations. So I feel like with Black Tax, sometimes we are not honest to ourselves, number one. So number one, you need a budget. Your budget guides what you can and cannot do. So if I have my budget and I know my income, I know my expenses for rent or bond. I know my expenses for food, for transport, like the essentials. I know what it costs. Whatever remains, that's called your disposable income. That's the part where this is where we can save, this is where we can give, etc.
Yeah.
And like I said, financial health, you need to prepare for your future. So that in the future, you do not become somebody else's problem. Okay. So after taking care of your basic needs, and tithe, of course, tithe is number one, and offerings and your basic needs, your disposable income, some of that is going to savings for your future.
Mm-hmm.
That is responsible financial behavior. Before we even start to save others, that's you saving yourself. And it's not selfish. I think a lot of times blackmail is used to make people feel guilty. It's wrong. Honestly, it is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You should never feel guilty for putting food on your table. You cannot feel guilty for having a roof over your head. You cannot. You cannot feel guilty for saving.
Yeah.
And this is where people, and I think I need to draw that point in. A lot of people don't save because they're like, yo, higher, whatever, and they don't save. And I'm like, you are perpetuating the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Because one day, you are not going to be able to take care of yourself. Who's going to take care of you? If you haven't put something away for the future, who's going to take care of you? You become somebody else's burden, and then it never stops. So if we want this thing to end, we need to start taking care of our future. And this is why you will find that maybe, according to my budget, if I want to help at home, maybe I shouldn't be driving the car that I'm driving. This is the thing, because sometimes we want everything, and sometimes, are we honest? Are we honest with ourselves to say, okay, if I have black tax and I do have siblings and I do have people to take care of, does it make sense for me to drive the kind of car that I'm driving? Is it possible for me to downgrade and maybe go for something more affordable? Is it possible for me to downgrade maybe where I live? Maybe not live in such a costly place. Can I get a cheaper place? So we are not willing to have those conversations. We want it all. Unfortunately, we cannot have it all sometimes. And also, with your family, so you cannot give your family everything. By this I mean, you cannot pay for school fees for your 2 brothers and 3 cousins, pay for DSTV, and then pay for... So you have to say, guys, Mina, my ability is this. Can I give you... I can only take care of food. Or I can only take care of education.
Yeah.
And so they can't ask you for DSTV money. Right? Because you've told them that, okay, guys, according to my budget, this is what I have, and I can only cover this. And also expect there must be accountability. If you are on a budget, they should also be on a budget.
Yeah.
They cannot use you as an eternal ATM. So during the month, they cannot wake up and say, sharing is shareable or whatever. So whatever, so you sit down and say, okay guys, I can help, but not with everything. So please choose. Also give them options and say, okay, there's this, this, and this, and this. Choose maybe 1 or 2 things from there, the other ones, I'm sorry. Because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I think reasonable people would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? If not, then you just have to put your foot down. And you bite off only what you can chew. Don't overextend yourself. I've heard people taking loans on behalf of family. So you go, take a personal loan, the family wants A and B and C and D. No. There must be proper boundaries and say, this is what I can afford. This I cannot afford, I'm sorry. And if they love you, they will understand. They will understand. And if they don't, unfortunately, you have to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. I need you to help us differentiate between qualifying and affording.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes and they purchase things in the name of, I qualify.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean you can afford.
Yeah. Now, that's a very, very good point. So, when it comes to buying stuff, whether it's, especially when we talk about qualifying, it's usually a house or a car. Those are big purchases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So qualifying is the car salesman or the bank will tell you, oh, you qualify for a car that is worth 500,000 rand or 400,000 rand. Because they look at your salary and they say, yeah, okay, you can qualify for this. But the bank and the car salesman doesn't know your budget. They don't know your lifestyle. They don't know. They're assuming, it's an assumption. So qualification is really an assumption to say, okay, you can qualify for this. But affording is based on your budget. So this is why I always say, don't freestyle with money. Don't freestyle. So you must live based on a budget. And your budget informs what you can afford, sorry. So your budget tells you your income, your expenses, it tells you your black tax. The bank doesn't know about your black tax. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know your obligations. They don't know whatever it is. Whether they're just seeing that nice salary that you have on your payslip and they make assumptions.
Yeah.
But affordability is determined by your budget. And if you go by the budget, you will find that in most cases, you do not afford what you qualify for. And you should be okay to walk away. So it's okay. And and sometimes, just because you qualify and can afford, so let's say, for example, I go to the bank, they tell me you qualify for a house worth 2 million.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that now I'm obligated to buy a house worth 2 million. No. Financially, I can say, okay, if I can afford it, why don't I buy a cheaper house and pay it off faster? That's more financially wise than to always be on the maximum, take out the maximum loans and take out the maximum. You don't have to do that. You want to have in your budget breathing room for any emergency, for any disaster. Right now, interest rates are going up.
No.
And people who took bonds back in 2020, when the rates were almost nothing, right now are in a fix because they didn't leave room for increasing interest rates.
I have to double check if this is the bond that I actually applied for.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, did my house suddenly maybe become bigger? This is not the money. This is not it. It escalated.
Yes. So those are the things that you plan for in your budget. You must play. I don't know if you know soccer, but there's something called defense and offense. Sometimes with finances, you must play both games. So defense and offense. Offense means planning for the unexpected. It must be there. You must build a margin of safety in your budget. Don't be running on 100% maximum, like you're earning 20,000 and 20,000 is allocated already to many things. There must be room for expansion, for extra costs that you don't know come from wherever, and that comes from you going with what you afford, not what you qualify for.
Guys, can I just say, Sis Nozi, I'm gonna have you again. Okay. Like, I am dedicated to having a day in the week that's specifically about money matters. And I think these are very important conversations that we are supposed to have, because we either become stagnant in our lives or we are going around in circles because we are just not healthy financially and we keep on making the same mistakes. Quickly, tell me, these people that are considering to get married, what questions do you think they should ask each other before they share their finances?
Okay, so that's another one again. What I would say is, based on personal experience, because I'm married, sometimes, you don't always know everything, right? It's impossible to know everything about the person and whatever. But the very minimum is you should, especially if you're dating, let me just talk about dating. You are dating, looking for a life partner. You must look for somebody who has a teachable spirit. Because when I got married, I didn't know all of this. But I learned it. So you want to be with somebody who is open-minded enough to learn and change their behavior. So, you can be married to somebody who, both of you were ignorant about these things, and then you come across the knowledge. Now you want to share. Remember this person, I have to say, what are you going to do? So I always say, yes, it's ideal to find somebody who is good with money, they budget, you are free to talk to them about money openly, you must have these conversations. What do you think about this? What do you think about debt? Those are the conversations that you should have. How much debt do you have? And it also goes into something else, which is the type of marriage. Marriage contracts, money is such a wide topic. But what I can say is look for somebody who is not too proud to learn. Because you don't know everything. And there's nobody who knows everything. So if you marry somebody where now I found this new knowledge, or I'm learning something that can help the family. But if you're married to somebody who's closed-minded, their way or the highway, then you'll be in big trouble. That's what I would say. A person who is flexible and who is willing to be wrong about stuff and who's willing to change their behavior. That to me, because then it means we can grow together. Yeah. Not necessarily, so I wouldn't always say to people you should find somebody who's a ready-made product. Well, now you're still going to grow, you're still going to learn. But there are traits in a person that you should look for. And what I'm saying to you is somebody who can listen to you and you also listen to them. That's the most important thing that I'll say. If you can find somebody who's budgeting, hey, that's a plus. Hey, that's wow. But if not, why don't you grow together? Even while you're dating, start saving together. Well, separately, but encouraging each other to do the right things with money. Is that person willing and open to change their financial behavior?
Somebody says, hey, I hear you guys about saving, budgeting, me talking to my parents, telling them this is how far I can go. Yeah. But what happens when I don't have money to rent and I'm only remaining with the tithe amount? Which one is more important? My roof over my head or returning tithe?
Yeah, so tithe is not a surprise.
Yeah.
So we always know about tithe, unless we are new baby Christians, maybe we just joined the faith and we're not yet, solid in our walk. But if you've been a Christian for quite some time, tithe is not a surprise. So you always know that tithe is coming. And it also, tithe, the reason why I like tithing and offering is that it teaches you to live below your means, literally. So the people who can most easily run their finances properly are tithers, believe it or not, yes. Because if you teach yourself to live on 100% of your income, it's very hard to save. But already those who are tithing and offering have got that muscle built into them. If you've been faithfully tithing in the past, you've got that muscle built in you. Like I said earlier, that your brain needs to be trained. Yeah. And so if you've trained yourself that 15%, which is 10% tithe and 5% offering, or whatever percentage it is, if that always comes off regularly, as in you don't miss a beat, it's inbuilt. It's in your system. Yeah. Even the way you spend is going to be around that, right? Especially if tithe comes off first, you are forced to survive on whatever is left. Yeah. But if you fall into hard times, so this is not something that you plan, shame. Yeah. And you can see that this month my tithe or rent. I'd say, you know what? God is loving. He doesn't want us to live on the streets. He doesn't want us to be miserable, obviously. So I would say you can use the tithe, but the principle is in the Bible it says if you use your tithe, you need to pay it back plus 5% on top. So you now need to budget for next month. Next month I'm taking out double tithe plus 5% because you need to pay back for last month, the 5% extra because of eating God's money. Because remember, if you're a Christian, tithe is not yours. It is not.
It's not even
it's
supposed to
like,
be part of your salary.
Yeah,
like if you are earning 5,000, you should know that you actually earn 4,000. Don't even count that.
Yeah, don't even count that. It's the same as, you know, when you're working for an employer, the pension is taken.
Yeah.
It's not yours. Like you can't say, you know, you can't negotiate. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So tithe to us should be non-negotiable. And only under extreme, and I'm talking extreme circumstances, then okay, you can use tithe, but you need to pay it back. Other than that, you know you're supposed to tithe. So plan for it and live and structure your finances around that, right? So that's what I'm going to say about that subject.
Reference of the verse?
It's Leviticus chapter 27, verse 31.
We know Pelanina, guys. So people are gonna be here. Nozipho, where is it written? Yeah. Last but not least, as we read this up, somebody wants to start saving today. They've not been doing it. What is their first step?
The first step is print out your bank statement.
Yeah.
These days you don't even have to print it out. You can log in to your app.
Yeah.
Just go through your last month's spending. And you know, a lot of people get embarrassed. Some people have got this head in the sand mentality where they don't want to see, they're scared. They know that it's not good. They know that whatever is happening in the bank statement is not good. So they don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They don't want to see it. Guys, I always say to people, okay, going through your bank statement is not to create embarrassment. It's for awareness. It's an awareness exercise. What has passed. Don't beat yourself up. What you want to see, because your budget is going to show you. Your budget can't lie. Until you were spending, it's not gonna lie. The numbers are there.
Yeah.
But what your budget is going to show you, is going to show you that actually I can afford to save. It's just that I'm buying too many chocolates. Or it's just that I think I'm buying too much airtime, like to chat with friends. Maybe I can actually cut down. Like your budget will actually make you sometimes even breathe a sigh of relief, like, this thing is doable. Because actually I've been misusing this money. It's not that I don't have money.
Yeah.
I just have been, misdirecting the funds. So it's not supposed to create shame. I always say, no, there's no shame in this thing. It's not about shaming yourself, beating yourself up like, hey, when you're so irresponsible. It's awareness, and actually it's a time to forgive yourself and say, yo, girl or guy, you have been really, really bad. Forgive yourself and say, let's do things better. Yeah. Because if you don't, so the reason why I say go to your bank statements, you cannot improve what you don't know, what you don't measure. It's how are you going to know what to improve? So once you see it, you will be like, okay. Because personally, let me just, I always like to make things personal. I used to spend a lot of money on takeaways, but I never realized it because I never used to look at my budget. Now baby. Budget no. But I never used to look at my statements. And then when I started actually going through my statements, then I realized, this is too much. Like, as in, I love pizza. Pizza's my weakness. Pizza, every now and again, pizza. I'm like, no, this is actually even not healthy for you as well. So you notice what's okay. I've been saying, in fact, as I said, China, they are not fitting me. No. It's not that the clothes have shrunk. You are expanding because of your habits. Yeah. So it will actually reveal your habits. And that's also an opportunity to change, to become healthier, not only financially, but even physically as well, right? So it's an exercise that all of us should go through. And saving will be easy from there because you just cut out, not everything. I'm not saying now we must never eat pizzas, we must never, no. But moderation is the key. Be disciplined even with the nice things. And give yourself nice things, obviously, but not too much.
Yeah.
And the rest goes to savings.
Amen. By beholding the bank statement to become change. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
I appreciate it. You're definitely coming again.
Of course, yeah.
we have to speak about budget. We have to speak about credit cards and credit scores. We need to speak about university, how we can take advantages of the bursaries and the financial loans that we get. We have a lot to talk about, so definitely, yes, money is broad and it is necessary. So, hoping that you enjoyed this conversation, and we are going to stick with us so that you can have a lot more. From me, Twisha Maduma, your host, and of course, this is Nozi, my guest for today. Have a good one. God bless. Bye bye.